Alright, so today's the day that I finally decided to do an oil change on my B8.5 Audi A4. So first thing I'm going to do is just go take this for a 5 or 10 minute spin. Not to get the oil temperature hot, but we just want to get it up slightly above temperature, maybe around the 40 to 60 degrees Celsius mark. And then we'll bring it home and park it on the double side over here so I can easily get jacks underneath the car. Alright, so I just took the A4 for a quick little spin around the block. As you can see, the oil temperature is now 71 degrees Celsius. Right at the end there, once the oil was up towards the end of the drive, I just gave it a little squirt just to break up sediment in the oil. Apparently that helps with getting the dirty oil out. I don't really know, but definitely heating up the oil like this helps drain much quicker. So I'm going to quickly get ready for this oil change, and by the time I've got the jack out and the car supported and I've got all the oils out and showed you what I'm doing, the oil temperature should be around that 50 degrees Celsius mark, which won't matter if perhaps I got it on my skin. It will not burn me. So let's go set this up and get ready for this oil change. I'll show you exactly what products I will be using. So what you're looking at right here is the motor in my B8.5 Audi A4. This is the 2.0 turbo, and in the Australian domestic market, we got the EA888 generation 3 of this motor. This completely got rid of the oil consumption issues, and it's a much more refined, more reliable version of the motor. So if you're in a different country, you'll most likely have this motor in the B9 platform. But basically, long story short, we have the wrench style here, oil filter, which we need a 32mm socket for. Here's our oil fill here, and we have a plastic drain pan on the bottom with a plastic sump plug. So because I don't know when that sump plug was last replaced, this is my first oil change on this engine itself, I've decided to buy another one, as well as obviously a replacement filter and oil. These motors take 4.5 liters of oil, and I've opted for a 5W40 liquid moly oil. I will show you that now. So here are the parts that I'm going to be putting in. We have a liquid moly Gen 5W40 now. These engines do normally require a 5W30 oil. However, in Australia, I know it's coming into winter, but in summer we get temperatures upwards of 40 degrees Celsius. Plus the MQB platform, this generation of motor, tend to run extremely hot. Usually operating temperature is between 100 and 105 degrees Celsius for the oil temperature. So I think a slightly hotter operating oil will be a much bigger benefit to the car. So I'm stepping up to a liquid moly Gen 5W40. This is a 502/505 Volkswagen Audi standard. This car calls for a 502/504 standard. That is the oil change interval standard. I'm going to be doing it every 7,500 kilometers, or probably that's realistically 5,000 miles, which is the half service interval. I'm also going to be using a man filter. These are made in Germany as per the oil. And here is my Ryco oil sump plug. This is a replacement sump plug. As you can see, it's plastic with a new rubber ring. This is for Audi and Volkswagen vehicles 2013 and on, 1.8 turbo, 2.0 turbo, which is my motor. So this is what I'm going to be using for the service. And now I'm going to go jack the car up whilst that oil continues to cool down a little bit. All right, so here we are at the underside of the A4. Now there's 3 half turns at the end. There should be 3 half turns along the guard here, although I've only got 2 left on mine. And then 4 torques holding on the front of this. And once they are all removed, this will just slide off the back simply like that. I've got 1 jack over there, another jack over there, and 2 jack stands on the rearward lower control arm. Holding the car up is super stable. There's no way this car is going to fall off, so it's safe for us to get under. I've shaken it and I've made sure it's perfectly stable. So now that we know that, let's remove those fasteners and take the under tray off the car. All right, so I stand corrected. There's 3 half turns at the back, 3 half turns on either side, and 2 at the front. And then the under tray is safe to come off like that. So now looking at the underside, here is our sump. And on this side over here, which is the passenger side on my vehicle, is the drain plug. So that's what we got to remove there to drain the oil out. So I'm gonna feel the sump. It's warm, but not too warm. I might quickly check inside the car, see if it's registering an oil temp. If not, that means it's below 60 degrees Celsius. And in that case, I will line up my oil pan underneath and turn that bolt. All right, so here's the sump bolt. I am not too worried about dropping this bolt.
inside the oil because I'm replacing it. So give that a simple half turn or more. And there we have it. Draining all nice and easily.
So whilst this is draining, I'm going to make sure this is lined up correctly. I've now drained this much oil out of the engine. So what I'm going to do is come up to the top and we'll loosen off the oil filter. Make sure you loosen this cap off too. I can hear then that a lot more oil come out then. So that will help aerate the oil and bring that out much easier. But yes, now that the oil's finished draining, we're just going to get the last of the oil out of the filter. Now this, technically, when you loosen off, should unleash a bunch more oil just due to the valve inside the filter. I can hear that draining down into the oil down below. Alright, so we're now up to the fun bit of removing the old oil filter. This just slots up and out. Now I've noticed I've put some gloves on. This is when the project starts to get a little bit dirty. I'm going to stick this in a Ziploc bag, just like this, so we can't make any more mess with it. The best way to get this off is just with a little flathead screwdriver and try and get this between the oil filter, as you can see there. Removing it, and we'll take that off the top and we'll grab our new filter. Again, this is a manned filter. Take note, nice and clean. So I'll take note of the heights. The actual overall dimensions are the same. However, these filters have a little bit of a lip on it. This one doesn't. So it is the same filter. So we will stick this in to the housing, pop it down, clips into place. As you can hear, it's now in there really, really solid. And then what we're going to do is grab our new O-ring. This will be included in the box. And what we want to do, pop this over, obviously, around the filter. And there it is. Perfect. And now that we've got our new ring on, we'll just dip our oil in dip our finger in some of the new engine oil and just rub it around that filter. Just get a nice even coating all the way around. Perfect. Now this is ready to be reinstalled in the car and torqued to 25.5 Newton meters. So mind the birds in the background, but we'll line this up like so. And because this is plastic, be really careful not to cross thread it. But as you can feel, that's going on there nice and easy. We'll just hand tighten this right down. Till it stops. And as you can see, the lines down there line up, and we're just going to torque this to 25.5 Newton meters. We line this up, and there we have it. Now that the oil filter's back in and installed, let's just lubricate up the O-ring on the sump plug with some fresh engine oil and install this back into the bottom of the sump. Alright, now that we have our new sump plug installed and our filter installed and torqued down, everything lubricated, it's time we start filling the oil up. This takes 4.5 liters. I'm going to put 4.2 in it to begin with. Start the motor, cycle it through, make sure we're not leaking anything out of the bottom, make sure there's no weird noises or anything like that. And once we are certain, then what I'll do, drop the car back on the ground and top it up as necessary. So unfortunately with this style of oil filter, you can't really pre-lubricate it before installing it, seeing as it's upside down. But nonetheless though, we have our cap back on, our oil filter is replaced and back in, the O-ring is replaced and on, our sump plug is in, the engine is filled with about 4 and a bit liters of oil, as seen by what's left in the liquid moly container. What I'm going to do is set the GoPro up down here, listen for any unusual noises, and then from there, we will put the car back on the ground and be ready to drive it. And there we have it. The car's now back on the ground. We ran a cycle on it and topped it up accordingly. And there we have our oil level at the maximum level. So absolutely perfectly. There is an oil change done on the B8.5 A4 with the EA888 Generation 3 motor. Perfect. Now we're ready for another 5 to 7,500 kilometers. All right, so there we have it, a completed oil change on my B8.5 Audi A4. I hope you guys have enjoyed or learned how to do it from this video. If you have, make sure you chuck a like on the video, subscribe to my channel for more A4 content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video.